Hey everybody. You know, there's a few things in life that really make me excited, and one of them is thinking about what the future of our species and the planet might be like. One of the visions that I enjoy entertaining from time to time is what I think of as the immortal cyborg. That's because I think that's where we're headed as a species. I think we're only generations away from basically becoming part robots that humans that will live for a near indefinite period of time. It's going to be a curious thing when we begin to meld our technology into our bodies. We've already begun doing it. We've been doing it for decades in ways that we all take for granted. You know, in terms of pacemakers and artificial structures in our body that take over where our own systems have failed or are inadequate, that help to extend our life or to make our lives better. But it's only a matter of time before we begin to truly, in earnest, begin augmenting our intelligence and our intellectual, our storage capacity inside the brain. I mean, when we begin to implant memory chips, and I think the technology, the idea of implanting memory chips will become an old idea. The way it will be in the future will probably be more akin to magic, as they always say. You know, you get enough future far enough ahead in terms of technology, and it looks more like magic than anything else. It'll probably be more like magic, where we'll simply be hardwired, virtually, in terms of no true real connection. We'll be connected into the grid, so to speak, in terms of our minds, and our bodies will be enhanced in that way as true, somewhat bionic, somewhat biogenetic. The really exciting step will be when we achieve near immortality. I don't call it mortality because I don't truly believe there is such a thing as mortality, because the odds of risk and chance and the games that we play in terms of the human desire to live on the edge will basically catch up all of us one time or another. But I think that we're only if I was to speculate, I'd say 5 generations. Within 5 generations, we will figure out how to significantly retard or even stop the aging process. You know, there are creatures out there that have achieved that in many ways. The giant reptiles, the great reptiles, basically don't die of old age. You know, crocodile. And the reason is that they basically don't stop reproducing. They remain reproductively potent, basically until they're dead. And one of the problems, there's a biological phenomenon that occurs when creatures such as human beings reach basically the end of their reproductive years. They are no longer capable. They are no longer susceptible to the deciding forces of evolution in terms of selecting them out of the gene pool because they have some disease, for example. Let's say, for example, if I have a disease before I reach, if I have a disease in my youth, then I can be selected out of the gene pool due to the fact that the disease robbed me of the potential to reproduce. However, so that disease may disappear because, or at least pushed back into old age, until it gets to the point where it's a disease that occurs in a population that's old enough that they are no longer able to push it back any further because they stop having babies. I'm really clouding the issue here, but basically what it means is, as long as we can reproduce, as long as we can make babies, we are able to basically be selected. The strong are able to be selected from the weak. Get it? I hate it when I say that. It's the second time today I've said "get it" like I'm in some condescending manner. But if we do that, if we can, that's how nature works. That's how natural selection works. The reproductively fit that are strongest will pass on their genes, and the reproductively fit that are weaker will not, until we reach the point where we're no longer able to have babies anymore. And then it doesn't matter whether we're strong or weak, and all of the diseases that can no longer be selected out then wind up in old age. That's why human beings come in old age, have such a collection of, such a menagerie of diseases and ailments that hit them, because they're outside of that pale of reproductive selection. I don't think I've done a very good job of explaining that, but what I basically mean is reptiles don't suffer that. Reptiles basically don't stop reproducing. They can reproduce, giant great reptiles don't know if it's for all of them, but great crocodiles, for example, can reproduce indefinitely. So they tend to, as a result, they don't die of old age diseases. Reptiles, old reptiles don't get the diseases that don't have a whole suit of collection of old diseases that nail them. Instead, they die of catastrophic accidents, and the odds catch up with them. What will happen to us is that we will eventually figure out how it is that system operates. Why it is that some species can be selected out, can beat the clock, so to speak, and what mechanism operates that causes us to age. Because there are certain parts of us that don't age. Our gametes, the sexual reproductive cells that pass on from one generation to another, are essentially, in some ways, young cells passing through the generations with the trains, one to another, into the future. When we can figure out how to apply that capability to the rest of our bodies, then we will become immortals, so to speak. Limited immortals. Accidents will still catch up with us. The odds, if these people out here driving their cars, if they continue driving long enough, eventually the statistical chances will get them that they will have an accident and die. So what we will have instead is an immortality limited by chance, in a way. But I think there's one thing that may save us from that as well, and that would be something akin to cloud technology, where we are now, in our current technology as human beings with computers, we're beginning to move our data off of our PCs into cloud-based servers, basically off into the ether, so to speak, where it is protected from our, now if you have all your data on your hard drive and your house burns down, well, so that's it for your computer. But in another decade or so, computers won't have that. Computers will simply be dumb terminals, dumb being the part that they don't have any smarts of their own, and just the little monitors and keyboards and mice. And if your house burns down, it won't matter, because all your data is kept in some secure site somewhere in an impenetrable Fort Knox type of a thing. I visited such places. I went to the AT&T system server farm in Texas, and man, it was an impenetrable place. One day, our consciousness, I believe, will reside in such cloud-based server systems. We will be basically freed of our bodies, and I'm really stepping off the line, ain't I? But I think this is where we're headed. We will be freed from our bodies, and we will basically exist in those clouds, with bodies being mere cyber biotic systems that serve the needs of our waking moments. And maybe one day we won't need those either, and we'll just become simply consciousness and the ghost in the machine, ghosts in the machine, and maybe eventually merge into one big one, and we'll be one human entity, so to speak. This is the future as I see it, and I really truly believe that this is down the road. It's not science fiction to me. This stuff is really going to happen, and it's going to revolutionize everything about the way human beings live their lives, the values that we have, the consciousness, the concept of life after death. What will that will mean when there is no life, when there is no death, when humans basically are able to live on forever, continue populating the universe unto forever. Read Isaac Asimov's incredible story, The Final Question, and to get a glimpse of what I'm talking about and where that might lead. Or go over to the drabblecast.org and hear the story, and listen to Norm Sherman and gang relate the possible future as it may turn out when humans become the amazing immortal cyborgs that I think we will be. Take care, everybody. I'm going to go inside and get a beer. It's time for it's definitely beer 30. Bye-bye.